Yeah, my people, what up, though? We back with another episode of All Black Men Need Therapy. My name is Chief,
And I'm Bell.
and if you were visiting us, or if you were here with us last week, you'll recognize our brother LCSW Adrian White, licensed clinical social worker out of Charlotte,
Yeah.
North Carolina. So those of you in North Carolina tapping with my dude, we'll put his links and information in at some point throughout the episode and whatnot. We're gonna get this thing rolling, fellas. We right on time, you know what I'm saying? We ain't hit him with the CP, you know what I'm saying? We here on time, 9:15, the joint's rolling. So we already moving in the right direction.
It's 9:17, but I get your point.
We started at 9:15, Christopher.
How? If it's 9:17?
We've been on for 2 minutes.
No, we've been on for a minute and 24 seconds.
Oh man. So we probably started at 9:15 because we're right in the middle of 9:15 and 30 seconds. Nevertheless, starting to piss me off already. Get it together.
That's why we need therapy, bro.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Anyway, check in. You good? Because your energy is already off, B. Check in. You all right?
You just reading the room wrong, bro. I'm fine.
I'm checking in because I don't like your energy. I ain't like it backstage. I don't like it right now. So fix it. What's good?
Oh my God, you're too sensitive.
I might be.
Yeah, you're just sensitive. I know how to push some buttons too, though.
Yeah, whatever.
So I know even when I'm not mad and I want you to be mad, I know what to do.
Why would you ever want me to be mad?
Sometimes I don't like you. Just being honest.
Check in.
Like, it's not easy being your friend. Like, I know it looks cool.
your life being shambles without me, dude. Don't even play.
It looks cool. No, I'm good, man. I've been doing a lot of traveling. Got a lot more traveling coming up. I was in Tennessee this week, and then I was in Stamford, Connecticut yesterday and today, half day today. I went to my company has an African American mentor program, and as one of the senior guys, I got to meet some of the new. I shouldn't say new because I'm new. I got to meet some of the mentees, the men in the program. All great dudes, man. Like great dudes. That one of the conversations I had actually inspired tonight's topic that we'll talk about in a little bit. But I'm good, man. Just a lot of traveling. I got more traveling next week. Like, I mean, I'm all traveled out. Good news is, though, that's why it's important for me, at least, to stick with one hotel. So because I'm a platinum elite member for Marriott, I got access to like the concierge floor on my stay the past couple of days. And basically it serves food like all day till 9:00 and free beer and wine. And I could bring whoever I want with me. So that was cool. So I took my man. I don't know if you met my man Rose, but we played together. UConn. He's been with the company for 18 years. So we now get to work together with my transition and everything like that, which is cool. But yeah, man, I'm good. I'm just looking forward to getting this travel out the way and just being done with all the travel. I got vacation coming up a week from tomorrow, going to Puerto Rico. So yeah, man, I'm good. Tired, good.
No doubt. That's what's up. Mr. White, what's good with you, baby? How you doing? Check in.
Man, I'm tired, bro. Tired. But I think it's a good tired. You know, I'm finally booked up. So I started doing my private practice in July. And so to be at a place where it's like, yo, I literally can't see nobody else. And now I got a wait list. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's dope. But then the inquiries that I'm getting, it's like, dag, how you can't make room for the men that's coming to you for help. But I have to remember, you know, things that I learned, like you can't overextend yourself. You still got the family. You still got to be, you know, the best version of yourself. And nigga, it's not your job to save everybody. You
can't save everybody. That's the reality.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of that transference, though. Like when I run into men who struggling with, you know, divorce and their identity, and knowing like when I was there, it was such a low point for me, and I would have did anything to have somebody with me, you know. And then, you know, I had a homeboy who was going through his divorce around the same time. We talked like every day, and that meant, you know, everything to me. So just still battling some of that, remembering some of that. But yeah, other than that, man, you know, life is good. working on the other business with the wife. She's definitely on me about the automation. So she about to literally make everything so much easier. And I love it because do what you do. You know what I'm saying? She's sending me everything she want to do. Just make the decision, babe. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for, everything that's to come. Definitely got some self-care activities planned for me this weekend. So, but yeah, other than that, man, I'm good. I'm healthy, humbled. Thank you guys for having me back.
Yeah,
No,
man.
Word.
For sure. And
Appreciate you.
congrats on being booked up, man. It's funny you say that because my wife, same thing. My wife's a life coach. She's an attorney and a life coach. And she just booked out her whole first quarter. You know what I'm saying? So she's booked out her whole first quarter. So she's pumped about that. She got some things going on, really, really going well for her. So shout out to you guys, like making it happen. That's what's up.
Fact.
No, word. That's definitely what's up. Me, man, I'm good. Kids are happy and healthy. Still doing some stuff around the crib. Yo, a lot of people have been kind of leaning on me lately about their like friendships, relationships. Remember how I bounced a couple of things off of y'all the other day? We was talking about the marriage and whatnot. And it's interesting. And I didn't realize it until we was just bickering just now, but I'm just like, people looking at it wouldn't know the strength of our relationship just by the bullshit we go through right there. But I feel like now that's kind of why they ask me, or
because I feel the opposite.
What do you mean?
I feel like because of the bickering, people can see the strength of our relationship.
Oh yeah, depends, whatever. But like in the past couple of days, a couple people have like ran their their friendship quarrels by me, and it's just like, yo, me and my dude, like we don't do that. Like that ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that don't mean that's normal.
No, but I mean, some of these things were just like, I could never see my people. So Mr. White, I don't know if was I talking to you about? Was it you and Prentice? Who was it?
It was me and Prentice.
Okay.
Yep,
so Mr. White, real quick, your ace, your day one, ride or die. You know what I'm saying? From the playground on, gets married and doesn't tell you. You find out on social media. How do you respond?
Oh yeah, that's wild.
It's not like a quick trip to the courthouse. This is like a full-blown wedding with people that y'all hung out with, like a wedding at a wedding in town where you live with people you've seen and that's y'all hung out with, and you didn't get invited.
See, I didn't know all of that.
Yes. So it was a destination wedding, but so Mr. White was invited to destination, but he couldn't make it due to whatever the circumstances were. So the person had an in-home wedding, a back-home wedding, and didn't invite this person. Didn't invite their ride or die. Found out on social media.
Well, that might be understandable, right? Since he denied the initial request, maybe they only sent it out to whoever, and then because of everything with just the planning and stuff, he literally didn't think about it. So I can see that happening because people planning weddings and doing all of that, the last thing they thinking about is people sometimes. Like that's a lot with switching the venue, So they probably were just sending all of the information out to maybe a standard list, maybe.
I get that. I don't want to discredit that, but again, I preface this with your ride or die. Your ace.
I don't believe that. I'm just being honest.
You don't believe that's the concept of the relationship?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, I mean, that could be it. That could be it too. But from the way it was described to me, was this is my ace.
That's what I'm saying is now what it could be, because there's a lot of people that are closer to me than I am to them.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh no, Bell, my man, that's my day one. Which may be true. We may have been together since day one, but we not that cool no more. You know what I'm saying? So there's one particular person in my life that I've known longer than you. Mm-hmm. And I could see him doing that to me. And he's closer to me than I am to him. We're still tight, but he's closer to me.
You wouldn't be bothered by that though. Would you be bothered by it?
No, but my point is our relationship is strong. But I could see him doing that, and not, and I wouldn't have any ill will towards that, because based on that circumstance you just gave, I could see it happening. Like now it opens it up to like Adrian said, it opens it up to like circumstance. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Let me if I got married and didn't tell you.
Bro, that's apples and oranges. We're not talking about the same thing. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We're not.
That's the perception of what I got from the conversation.
Well, they're lying. Like they're like that. That's it. Just doesn't. You can't convince me that what they're comparing to what we have is the same thing. You can't convince me of that. So there's something wrong with you. Right?
Something wrong with the twist eyes.
So it's like somewhere in that relationship, there's clearly, if nothing else, a communication gap, right? There's clearly a communication gap. There's probably a relationship gap. Like there's probably a relationship gap.
So let me give you the second scenario that I got, and I just want to run it by because I was a little baffled. So I know if I'm down and out, Bell, I ain't got it. It's bad right now. Like I lost everything. I need a place to stay for a little while. All right, bro, I got you for a little while. How long can I stay there while taking advantage of your home, your food, and all that, not attributing to anything, not really cleanliness, no bills, no nothing?
Not long.
Right. So
not long at all.
So there was a situation to where it was like, let's say 6 months with children, minimal cleaning, using up all of my resources, my food, all that, not paying a dime.
So what I have a real life scenario with this, my brother, and I love him to death. And I gave him a time frame. You know what I'm saying? I gave him a time frame. Look, I specifically said, I'm not charging you. I'm like, I'm not charging you a dime. I said, I don't remember if it was 4 months, 6 months. I don't remember what the time frame was, but it was multiple months. I'm like, look, you need to save up some money. Because he was going through some stuff. I was like, save up some money. You're working, get right. And then what you are going to pay me, just keep. I'm not going to do anything. But then at like the 4 month mark, I had checked with him. I'm like, yo, how much you got saved? And he was like, oh, I got a couple things going on. How much do you have saved? Oh, well, I ain't, all right, so check this out. For the next 3 months, so whatever the time frame I put on it, you own this light bill. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, it's like, I'm not about to be inconveniencing myself. I love you to death. I would never put you on the street, but I am inconveniencing myself. So it's like, and my family. So I'm doing that for the betterment of you, for you to get right. I'm not charging nothing, but if you're going to be over here shucking and jiving,
right?
Nah, you got to pay this little light bill, which by the way was the smallest bill in my house. You know what I'm saying? So, but when I gave him that, he was going not that long after. So sometimes, but that's the things the things with boundaries. The thing with boundaries is this: it will set people, quote unquote, straight, one way or the other.
Right.
One way or the other. Like either they'll learn how to do it on their own, or they'll tailor what they come to you for. Either way, everybody wins. You know what I'm saying? But what's the scenario?
That's the scenario. The person just came, was given.
Well, how long they stay there?
It's been 6 months or more. Minimal contribution with attitude when you say, listen, like, could you keep that clean, or
what's the conversation like though?
Again, I didn't get too deep into details. I just know it couldn't be me.
but that's my scenario. Or the scenario I just gave you is like, you have to have, again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Both scenarios have a communication gap. Clearly,
right?
Both scenarios have a communication gap, and we can't be that close if we don't know how to communicate. See what I'm saying?
But you know what? You hit it on the head with boundaries, right? Because can't nobody come stay with me. Like, if y'all in town for vacation or something, cool. Y'all want to stay the night, stay the weekend because y'all traveling, cool. Nobody is staying, especially another man. You're not staying in my house. I'll give you bread to help you get a room. You know what I'm saying? I'll help you find something. I'll do all of these other things.
Yep.
But you're not staying in my house. And since me and the wife on the same page about it, we don't even got to worry about it.
It ain't no, but Adrian, he needs a place. Nah, we good. He'll figure it out.
Because he can get it from somebody else too.
Right.
Like I had roommates before. I will never let nobody else live with me again, man. Be drinking your juice. You know what I'm saying? You think you got a soda, then I took my last soda. You ain't washed the dishes.
It's like
there's
certain things you don't do. Yeah. You never take the last in somebody else's house
of anything.
Of
anything. I was just always taught leave it how you got it, leave it how you found it. You know what I'm saying? If not better. You know what I'm saying? So when I leave the crib, the blankets, the bed is made, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever. Like it's just
that's good.
Yeah. Nevertheless, smooth transition before we get into the episode today. Hey y'all, we got merch. Check it out. It's in the comments and whatnot. But if you hit the store right now while we're live, use the code ABMNT Live 15. You get 15% off of the entire store. So whatever's in there, punch in the code and get you some discounted merch, man. Support us. It's been going well, and we're happy y'all supporting us. Shout out to my man Mo again. Got himself a tee. It's the only one I put up here, but we got a bunch of pics. I'll get more in here, but salute to you guys supporting us. You dig? But today's topic, Bell. Go ahead, enlighten us, man.
Yeah, man. So as I said, this is something that I've been I don't want to say struggling with, but something that it's been on my mind. I'll say that. And the topic tonight is identity. And there's a lot of it could be a lot to unpack. But I felt moved to talk about it tonight because as I said, I was at a Black Man Leadership essentially meeting yesterday. And I had a chance to speak to one of the young brothers and former NFL player, and he retired. He retired, and I just asked him, I'm like, what made you retire? And then we just got into it. You know what I'm saying? We got into it in a good way. Like got into the mental strain that no one sees when you're performing at that level. And the expectations and then now that he's gone or out of the league, the identity challenges, you know what I'm saying? So we started talking about that and I'm like, yo, I don't know what this is. I said, but I just wrote a whole speech on identity the other day. And I said, there's something here for me as far as how I feel about identity and my views on identity. So I was like, well, let me just talk about it tonight. I think it'd be and I'm not going to go, well, who knows? We don't know where it's going to go, but I don't plan to go so deep into my perspective on identity, but I do want to hear from all of us in terms of it. So just for everybody listening, Oxford definition of identity is the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. That's Oxford definition of identity. But the thing is, man, like for a lot of people, myself, identity's been put on the forefront through for me through the LGBTQ plus community, right? With self-identifying and everything like that, pronouns, all these things. Like that's where it's come to be more understood from my standpoint as it pertains to that community. But for me, it's like everybody has an identity, right? Now, some people, and we'll get into that. Some people may confuse identity with different things, but they have an identity. So for me, I'm like, let's talk about what that means as a Black man, right? Like identity as a Black man. So my question to you guys is, what comes to mind when you think about identity? Like, how would you identify yourself? That's the easiest way to answer the question. Ask the question. Excuse me.
Go ahead, Mr. White. I'll let you go first.
Dang, I was about to say, let me hear what you got for me, Chief.
Gotta be quick on the draw.
When you say it, I think about it twofold. I think about my identity just as like what a Black man is, period. Like who am I as a person, which is something that I feel like a lot of us are missing because we were supposed to get it from our fathers. Right. And so I don't even want to say missing. I think it's skewed based on our environment, right? So to have to figure that piece out. And then the other piece I think about is how I identify myself based off of, like my work, being a husband, being a father, like all of those things. And I think I identify myself through that way first before I really identify myself as a man and what a man should be. And I didn't learn this lesson until I was divorced, right, from my first marriage, because I lost my identity.
Mm-hmm.
I was Adrian, the father, the husband, the therapist. And I put all of the stock in, okay, hey, I'm a husband, I got this family, no longer have my family. I moved out, another dude moved in. So now it's the only thing different about that household is I'm no longer there. Yeah, real. And so I literally had to, first I realized I was broken from the beginning, right before I even got married. So first I had to just learn to just love and accept myself and then say, okay, who is it that you are supposed to be? Right. And I did this thing called like the mirror challenge, when I had to learn to be enough for me. Me doing what I felt like was necessary, which was correct, was enough for me. And that's where I found my identity. So I found my identity in being a man of good character, right? Like that defines me. Someone who does not make decisions based off of his emotions, and someone who does the things that he is supposed to do. And I don't need other people to appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And me being aligned enough with God to where like, okay, I can walk into these things. And then the more I focused on my relationship with God, it started to just show me these other attributes that I really started to, work towards, right? Like what does long suffering look like? Let me do that. What does giving people grace look like? Right? Being humble, right? So what I always stood to, the more humble I am, the lower I keep myself to the ground. When I fall, it's not far of a fall. But if I think I'm this, that's a long way down. So then it went to those things. Then once I established those things, the other things didn't matter to me as much anymore. Right? The being the center of attention, the having people think I did this, whether someone loved me, whether someone appreciated me, it didn't matter to me anymore, because this is who I am. I'm a sound man. Based on my decision making, I handle my responsibilities, just things like that. So that's how it worked for me.
Nah, so I'm listening to you and I'm processing this. Go ahead.
No. Go. It's better if you go first.
I was listening to you, and I began to think about just a lot of people's identity is wrapped around or wrapped in how people perceive them versus themselves. And when I thought about that, I was thinking, because earlier when you started talking in the very beginning, before we got to the topic, you mentioned how we can't save everybody, right? And one of the things that we've talked about a lot in our episodes is everybody can't go. So as we're continuing to level up and do these things, everybody can't go. We've got to learn to detach in so many things. But I think oftentimes we get so caught up with everybody else that we lose our identity trying to be what they want us to be rather than who we are. You dig what I'm saying? And I mean, this isn't, I guess it is a part of who I am, but like being a poet, like it was teased, it was laughed at, it was joked upon for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? Being my size and the captain of the football team and yada yada yada. What you gonna do? Write a poem about it? Yeah, I am actually. You know what I'm saying? But it took a while for me to be comfortable and confident in saying that. You know what I'm saying? Because you get this perception of what poets are and how poets carry themselves or whatever. So in that regard, I think a lot of people put more emphasis and energy in trying to appease the masses rather than owning who they are. Now, the question I got for you fellas is there a primary point of identity that stands out more often than not? So we all start and go, we're black men first and foremost.
Hey, just real quick before we move off this, I want to unpack a couple things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Adrian, a couple things you said that I think we all, I shouldn't say we all, at least me, I do for sure, is we identify ourselves through titles. You know what I'm saying? So you was like, I'm a father, I'm a husband, all these things. Here's the crazy shit, bro. Though I'm sure at that point, your divorce was probably one of the lowest moments in your life, if I had to guess, at that point, right? The crazy thing is the only thing that you weren't going to be anymore was a husband due to the divorce, right? Like you're still going to be a father, you're still going to be a provider, you're still going to be all those things, but those are titles. And I think you hit the nail on the head with like growing up learning what it like what not definition wise, but like what inspired that, right? So you became a father the day you had a child, right? By like scientifically you became a father. But what does that mean? Like how do you identify as, and I'm not asking this directly, I'm just saying like in general, like how do you identify as a father? You see what I'm saying? Like having a kid, we know is not an indicator of you taking care of that kid, right? Now you're a father by definition, but that father and me father are two different fathers, right? So my identity is tied to father's my title, but my identity is tied to providing, nurturing, loving, right? Like that little human to so they can grow up to be a productive human in society. So that's my identity. And that's where you got to, which was dope to hear. Like you went back in. You know what I'm saying? And the purpose of this whole thing for me is I personally believe we give titles too much autonomy, and then we define ourselves by the title and not necessarily the identity. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I'm
you hit it
saying?
right. You hit it right on the head, and I think it goes hand in hand with what Chief was saying, right? Because even the titles is because of the accolades that other people gave people who held the titles. You know what
Or
I'm
lack
saying? So
thereof. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, or lack thereof. So it was
Yep.
everything. So I was always seeking the next thing, and luckily I was smart enough and talented enough where I never had to work hard to achieve anything like ever, right? Like college was easy, master's degree was like easy. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't struggle until I got divorced. That was the thing for me. You know what I mean? But I always had seek titles, and now I think it's more evident than ever where I don't want titles. I don't
Yeah.
want positions. When people want to put
Yeah.
stuff together, like, yo, I'll partner with you, but I'm not about to be the face. Like, I don't want none of that stuff anymore. Like, I'm good with just
Yes.
me. And it's freedom. It's freedom. I don't get stressed as much as I used to. I don't get angry when people say things. It literally comes and goes, or my head is spinning, literally just trying to understand, right? That's how Chief, when you throw out that scenario, I'm always trying to look at a different why, right? There's never no concrete negative. It has to be something else. So I'm more curious now than ever before. And it stemmed from me just becoming one with myself. And I really feel like truly finding myself.
Bro, that's dope. And I'm thank you for sharing that because I think that's the evolution. And that's where I am. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I am. Like I'm not like Chief and I we talk about this all the time on our varying perspectives on titles in general. Like we weren't even talking about identity at that time. But the truth is, now that I think about it, hindsight, what I was really talking about was identity, right? Because I said the same thing you said. Because I've been in my company for almost 14 years. I've climbed the ladder. I did all that stuff, and now I'm just like, nah, man, it has to be aligned. Whatever I do, period. Whatever I do in life, it has to be in line with what I truly believe in at my core. How do I identify as a man? Right. So I was thinking about this. It's like, and this isn't, you can answer it if you want, but it's not necessarily a question, but it's more rhetorical. Like, what is your mantra as a man? right? Like, what is your mantra? Like how do you identify? Like, if you had to put it in a mantra, like, how do you identify? You know what I'm saying? Like,
The first thing that came to mind for me was just be a good person and lead by example. That was the very first thing that, I mean, I'm sure we can break that down into what that looks like or whatever, but the first thing that came, like, how do you, in terms of that, like, be a good person. And at the end of the day, that's going to get you a lot further than the thing. Was here we were talking about? I think it was that guy, well, my man, shout out to Mr. King at work. We was talking about, like, talent will get you there. Character will keep you there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay. And that kind of makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
no, yeah, it makes sense. We did this speaks to this to in the leadership session I was in. We did some work on PI, performance impact exposure, right? And they surveyed a ton of top executives, thousands of executives, and they put a pie chart on there, and they said, you know, what percentage should a person looking to rise in the company be? And it was exposure 60%, identity 30%, and performance 10%. You know what I'm saying? And that's for another episode to unpack all of that. But I say that to say you're not wrong, right? Like, talent. Here's how I look at it. And I know we're kind of going down a rabbit hole. Talent and work ethic and hard work is like table stakes, like that. Yeah, you're supposed to work hard. It's the expectation is for you to work hard, right? The next question is, what's your character, to your point. But the reason why I say what's your mantra is because if we focus more on that, we'll get every title that we want. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to saying, like, I want to be next executive, or I want to be the next this. But no, if I want to be a good person, I want to inspire those around me. I'm going to continue to make shit happen. And I'm always going to be of sound character. Like, you do all those things, like whatever you identify as, that's what I'm saying. Like, whatever we identify as, and then put that where it needs to go, not the other way around, right? Don't give Bell the title, right? Put Bell in the title, because Bell's identity is what you're buying. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the value I'm bringing. I'm not bringing, there's another way to say it. I don't have value now that I have a title. That title now has value because it has me.
Right. And that makes sense. So to your point, in that, in what you just talked about in the pie chart, I feel like I would have said performance, because ultimately would have the higher marking for me, because ultimately the better you perform, the more exposure you get.
This is a good conversation. Is that true though?
In certain areas and arenas, yes.
Is it though? Think about it, bro. What's the common denominator for Division I football players? They're bigger, faster, stronger than D3 players, right?
Mm-hmm.
They all perform, right?
Yes.
So what separates them? They're all top performers. So what separates them? Right? Perfect point. If you're the fastest dude on the team, strongest dude on the team, all the accolades, but you're an asshole and you steal, but you the top performer, how long is your runway?
No, and with that I get, but I mean in terms of like from performance to exposure though.
So here's the deal.
So hold on, I got a good example. If you think about NBA players that are nice, but they play in the small markets, they don't get the exposure that the people who play for LA play for, right? So like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he a beast, but he out in OKC. So you don't hear about him like you hear about everybody else when he literally is just as good.
And here's another point. Do we know offhand how many games Colorado won this year? Here's an easier question. Did they go 500? No. But did we talk about Colorado every week? Right? They're not performing, bro. They are not performing. But the identity of that team is what we all aspire to be. The exposure because of that identity is what we all yearn for as a shit. I tell you right now, UConn Huskies, my alma mater, would love to have an ounce of that exposure that they have. Right? So here's the deal, man. Here's the deal. Shout out to Dan Orlowski. Dan Orlowski is one of the top anchors on ESPN. He was my quarterback in college. We have a running group chat, long, deep conversations. Dan Orlowski was an NFL quarterback for 13 years. 13 years. Average tenure of an NFL player is 3 years.
3 years.
Perspective. We get in this conversation one day. He says, I didn't even think about this. I'm talking about it right now aloud. Identity. He identified as an NFL veteran at that point. He was retired. And he never identified as an NFL starter. I'm gonna bring this full circle. Dan said there were 2 plays that happened in his college career that never allowed him to be the player he needed to be in the NFL. Because those 2 plays that exposed his weaknesses, right? And he couldn't get through it. And what he said to that after that, he said, listen, man, talent is the floor in the NFL. The floor, right? Because everybody's talented. Everybody's performing. So what separates this person from the next person? Because it's not talent when you get to a certain level. Like in my company, when you go for executive roles, it's literally splitting hairs because everybody's performing. If they weren't performing, they wouldn't be in the conversation. So everybody's performing. You have to expect everybody to perform. Now, how does somebody get the job? Well, how do they identify? Are they performing and letting people know they're performing? Right? Are they getting into these rooms that people aren't willing to walk into and then have that same conversation about their brand and who they are? You see what I'm saying? Like look at in the poetry world, bro. There's not many poets, I'm convinced, that made more money than you that's not full-time poets, period, as far as I'm concerned. But there's some that there's a lot with a bigger brand, a lot with more exposure. But you guys are both performing. See what I'm saying? So it's like,
I see what you're saying. No, I get it.
Like that's, and I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole because now this is always what happens. We be talking about one topic and we end up on something else.
But this is always great conversation.
Yeah, but my point is, my only thing I'm trying to say is, as Black men, we have to figure out who we are from an identity standpoint. Because saying I'm a Black man, that's a title. How do you identify as a Black man? What does that mean to you? You know what I'm saying? My bad. I know you had another question and you got me going. You wanted me to wake up. Now I'm up. All right. I'm up.
You want a nigga? Nigga here. Nah, I forgot the question. Now I was writing stuff down. But I remember at the Black Men in Leadership Conference, Bell, they talked a little bit about intersectionality.
Mm-hmm.
You think those points have emphasis on identity? Like, because you meet those crossroads between father and son, between leader or business exec and husband and all that good stuff. Like, are those all wrapped into our identity, or does that not matter?
I think Adrian started making a phenomenal point, and I'm going to say something, and I want you to finish it if you can. But here's my thought. I'm not saying this is fact. This is just my personal thought. My personal thought is we attribute, put a title, right? Any title, father, son, whatever. We attribute that to what we've learned, positively or negatively, right? Chief, you're a perfect example. Like, your father wasn't around. So you strive to be the best father you can possibly be, right? Here's what I know. If your father was around, you still would be a great father. Why? Because that's just who you are.
So does the adjective prior to the I guess I can't call it a pronoun, but does the adjective prior to the label make a difference? So if I don't say father, and I'm like, you know what, I'm a good father or a loving man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know exactly what you're saying, but let me try. I think what I'm saying is you're going to be who you are regardless of the title. enter title X.
Mhm.
Chief's going to show up 100% Chief with
Mhm.
all these attributes that you possess. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like all these attributes you possess, they're going to show up. Like if you decide to take on a life of crime, you're going to be a nice ass criminal. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to be a caring criminal. Like you're still going to have those attributes. You know what I'm saying?
So that's my thing. So I would use, it sounds, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're saying the title of father isn't something that should be used when stating your identity.
What I'm saying is the title of father is just that, a title. How you identify in that title will make that title. Because again, bro, we know fathers that aren't that don't identify as fathers. You see what I'm saying? Like we know people who have children who don't identify as fathers. So don't give me and him that same title. I'm saying we're not the same. Like I identify as a father. No, I identify as Chris Bellamy, who is this. Boom, 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 boom. And as a result, I'm a phenomenal dad because of my attributes. Yeah, shoe fits. Before we forget, for those chiming in, we have, throw the ad up, Chief. We have 15% off merch. Go to our go to our website now and use, what is it? There it goes. ABMNT Live 15 for 15% off all our merchandise. We actually got a bulk order coming in. So if you're nice to us, we might send you a gift. But right now you can get a 15% off.
Word. Hit the site.
So we digress.
We digress.
What was my other question I had on here? So here's a question. Have you guys ever experienced your identities not matching others' expectations? Personally.
I think it's maybe before identity is a step, before we really start to establish identity, kind of like that first summer home from college. When
I think that's a great example because I think you're still finding yourself.
Yeah, but I'm talking about just the expectations of people like, oh, you back home. Because when you leave, it's yeah, rah, rah, the scholarship, he going to the league, and you come back and it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I think that.
Well,
right
let's talk like, well, what do you mean by that? Because I have a story about that, but I want to hear what you mean.
Yeah, we talked about that, but I'm just talking about it like, so the expectation of the people around us were like, okay, I don't think they were expecting us to come back home. They were expecting that transition to keep going from the scholarship to college to the league, and then when you don't make that and you come back,
which is crazy since it's so fucking easy to make it to the league, right?
Yeah, but the people don't realize that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so what I'm saying is, what was your identity when you came home?
Hustle. The identity was wrapped around growing up and welcoming myself to the real world. I guess it wasn't.
Yeah, but how did you identify though? So in college, you're a student athlete. That's how you identify, right?
As a college grad, walking into the real world.
Right, but what was okay? So two-part question, and I'm sorry, I may have been confusing. As a while you were in college, student athlete were your titles, right? You identified as a really good football player, and whatever else you identified as. And then when you graduate, so you're no longer a student athlete as a title. You're no longer, you don't have the cover of college.
Of college, right.
Right. So now you're, like you said, you're in the real world. So easier way to ask the question is, did you know who you were at that point?
No, I don't think it was any thought into that. It was just I'm home from college. Now it's time to be a man per se. You know what I'm saying? It's time to grow up. It's time to enter the real world. So I think college grad was just that the title.
And how long did you hold on to that title? Because that's the title. It is recent college grad, right? That's a search string in LinkedIn. So like that's a title. how long did you? Because we only got so much grace, right? Like it's like you're only a newlywed for so long. You know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
so I think because remember I got the job at the high 6 months after I graduated, so
Right.
now I roll
Now you
into
moved in.
the dean role.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying,
Okay.
so a professional, if that's
Okay. Perfect. What about you, Adrian?
Shoot. Well, I had my oldest daughter in my senior year of college, so I had the father one pretty early. Um, and then so from there, that was all
Wait,
I
real
pretty
quick.
much.
Are we supposed to like comment on this comment?
you can just read it.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Where'd he go? Oh, okay.
It,
So yeah, so it was father, and then since that was really the only thing I had, that's all that really mattered. I didn't
right.
even take the rest of my life serious. It was when I got baby girl, she good. Outside of that, I'm a thot. You know what I'm saying? Meeting
That is
women,
one
getting
title we
jacuzzi
did not give
suites.
ourselves that we need
No,
to give ourselves.
yeah,
Those two
no
ways about
identity
that.
at all.
Those two.
At all. No, I didn't care about women, right? From the standpoint of, I'm not going to say I didn't care. It was just the awareness that, hey, like they are people. I
Right.
was literally using them for what I need. And,
Yeah,
that's it.
you do seem like you was out there burning bridges, though, Mr. White. It's
Yeah, I
probably,
was terrible, bro. I was terrible, man. I was terrible, y'all. But then I will say, like I said, it all came full. I think everything, not everything, but a lot of my stuff was very superficial until I went through my divorce.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Almost like that's when you
Everything.
found yourself.
Right. Right.
It's crazy
And
because it sounds, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like your world as it existed as a husband at that time, that's where your identity was and all those things. And then when you get that taken away from you, now it's like, who am I? And then that's
but
when
you
it
know
sounds
what?
like,
It's funny because I put my identity in it, but I still wasn't even that though. You know what I'm saying? Like even the standards that I felt like a husband was supposed to be, I wasn't. Right. So it literally was just the title. Okay, I have these titles. Y'all
but
respect
you
these
didn't even
titles. I'm still
identify
something
it as
totally
that.
different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm still something, still a
Ah,
monster on the low over here, still getting love, still, oh, I got the credentials. Y'all got to listen to me. So it was almost just like power, right? And when you don't know what you are, the thing about identity, if you don't know who you are, you will abuse things. Right. So I literally took everything I had for granted. That's why I tell people like my divorce was the best and worst thing that ever happened to
yeah.
me. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
And
because
so, yeah.
it's crazy, right? Because and I don't have that traumatic of an experience to help me find who I was or who I am. But it's we all have, I shouldn't say we all, but more often than not, when you go through something like you went through or something like I'm about to explain, there's a pivotal moment. That's what I'll call it. I'll call it a pivotal moment. Now that could be in your case divorce, and in my case, it was quite frankly, it was honesty for me. So when I graduated college, NFL prospect, trained in Jersey for 3 months, like Jacksonville Jaguars calling me the day before the draft. Like in my mind, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going. My family's mind, I'm already there, right? Like they've already picked their houses out. You know what I'm saying? So when I didn't get drafted, I kept trying for a little bit, not long, but a little bit. When I didn't get drafted, now when I come back home, I got to answer all these questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, but why you in the league? Then I found myself explaining myself. You know what I'm saying? Oh no, you know what I'm saying? It was a heavy running back draft year, yada yada, yada. Going the whole gamut, and it became like a speech pattern, like because it happened every time. Anytime I went out, like you said, I was in the streets. Like we was out clubbing, having fun, so I would always see people, and it was the same conversation, and they would get the same answer. Didn't matter who asked me, and that shit gets tiring. because that becomes a burden. So that goes back to what I was saying. Like when your identity doesn't match the expectations of others. You know what I'm saying? Like they see me from a title standpoint as an NFL player. And I may not even had a job at that point. I don't even remember. You know, I probably maybe I did, but but I say all that to say I had an epiphany one day. I'm like, yo, am I telling myself some bullshit? Like I literally had to ask myself that. Like, am I telling myself some bullshit? I said, because here's the reality, right? If I was good enough, I'll be there. Now, I could make an argument as to why that's not true. I could. But the longer I made that argument with myself, the longer I'll be holding on to something that probably at that point was no longer attainable. And the longer I held on to it, held on to that identity, right? That identity as an athlete, that identity as, a provider through sports. Like that's how I identified a provider through sports. The longer I held on to it, the longer I chased that, the further I was going to get away from who I was really meant to be. You know what I'm saying? And then that conversation, when people would ask me, after me having a conversation with myself, saying, no, I just wasn't good enough. And being good with that. Like being good with like, yo, I just wasn't good enough, bro. And there were two things. I know we're coming up on time. There was two things that happened that got me to that point. One was the conversation with myself, and one was a tryout that I had. And the crazy shit is I was the best running back at the tryout. But at that point, I realized I just no longer want to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I started to say it was liberating, because now when I have that conversation with people in that moment, I'm like, no, I just wasn't good enough. Like, no, Bill, you was like, no, let's check this out, man. You don't know more about me as an athlete than I know. And I'm telling you, I wasn't good enough. And you have to have that conversation once, maybe twice, but boundaries, you'll never have it again. And then that just took the pressure off me. You know what I'm saying? So when I was talking to my man last night, he was dealing with that, but at a different level. Like he was in the league. Like it was a different level. You know what I'm saying? Practice squad, but in the league. So I'm like, yo, I can relate. Like it's a weight lifted off your shoulders when you're not trying to uphold this expectation of you. Like I felt obligated to get to the league because of everybody's expectation of what I could do for them when I was there and what I want to do for people when I was there. But then the reality is, it's like, again, the reality setting is like, nah, bro, you just wasn't good enough. But hey, guess what? Guess what? Here's who you are at your core. That title doesn't define you. You know what I'm saying? Like that title didn't define me. And I have friends up until recently that title defined them, former professional athletes, and they could not find themselves outside of the sport. You know what I'm saying? Because everything was wrapped up into that. But I'm like, nah, I know who I am at my core. And as a result, I'm going to make shit happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to still make shit happen. So that's why I ask these questions about identity and titles, because a lot of us can't identify ourselves until the title is stripped away. You see what I'm saying? And that's what happened to me. And it sounds like that's what happened with you to an extent.
Yeah. Right quick, and I'm gonna let you jump in there, Chief. It's something you said though, right? Where my dean of pledges, man, I'll never forget. He told me sometimes we get caught up in our story too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. So you could have easily did that. Yeah, I could have went to the league, made all of these excuses, and you still could have rolled that wave of he was good enough, but you chose to do something different. It was a time when I graduated, I had full custody of my daughter. So it was just me and her. So, you know what I'm saying? College graduate, full custody of the daughter. And I would
real quick,
I even got to the point.
Ain't no pickup line better than that. Just facts. I'm speaking from experience.
Facts.
Trust me. I know. Ain't no pickup line better than my daughter.
Oh, facts. But it was funny because I had got so caught up in that story. Right. So where even I would exaggerate things on her mom, shout out to my oldest daughter, mom. I would even exaggerate that story to make me look better. And one day my dean checked me, was like, yo, bro, I talked to you 2 years ago and you were telling me the same story. Like you caught up in your story. You got so much more you supposed to do, but you stuck because you single dad with your daughter full time. Like what's going on? And that joint stuck with me. And then a year later, I went to move to South Carolina to go get my master's, yo.
That's
so the
what's
fact
up.
you didn't get caught, you didn't stay caught in that storyline is good because a lot of people do, and then it turned bad for them.
We all know that piece. We got dudes still to this day talking about high school accolades.
Word. That's a fact, bro.
Like for real.
Like,
and it's like boasting about it. Want to argue.
Like every conversation, they find a way to get to weave that in.
Yeah, it's like come on, fam. Like come on, B. We can't keep doing that. Nah, but that's a good valid point. The story is definitely something that we tend to hold on to.
And then the other question is like, what is your story? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it? Like, what's today's story? What's today's mantra? Like, who are you today? Like,
and that was
like what you've been through got you here and made you, right? But who are you going to be?
Yeah, I heard that story already.
Yeah.
Give me the next chapter.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Well said. Yeah.
For sure. Yo, I think it was some good nuggets in here, man, in terms of identity. A lot of people are struggling to identify who they are and what they're about. And I think, it's imperative and important for us to, find something as what's the common colloquialism now, stand on it. Find something you got to stand 10 toes down on and use that to help.
I think like an action item for some people who are struggling, right? Like write down 3 things you want people to say about you when you're not in the room, right? About who you are, attributes, right? Character attributes, whatever. Write 3 things down that you want people to say about you, and then write 3 things down of who you aspire to be. Just start there. And you don't got to take all 6. Just take 1 or 2 and just work on those.
Mr. White, you want to take that? What age did you find your true identity?
Sure, I would say probably like 3 years ago until now, because I think it's still being unveiled, right? Because I've always been talented, right, and been like successful and been able to just get by. But I think I'm tapping into something different, like now, with just my thought process and the way that I just see things. Like I feel like it's a whole nother level that I don't even understand yet, but I'm like, cool, I'm here for the ride. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's just so many levels to it. But I would say probably like 3 to 4 years ago is when it really started to click and I started to really like walk it out.
What about you, bro?
I want to say 24. No, 25, 26, something like that. Like when the moment the moment, it was 2007. So I was I don't know. I was 2007, I was 23. It was when something was taken away from me. And I had to learn in real time who I was. And what I realized, again, I realized I was a provider. I realized I was going to always make shit happen, no matter what the case was. And I knew that I was going to make a lot of money. Like that was always what I knew. I'm like, it doesn't matter what I do. I'm going to make good money because that's just how I was wired. Like that's when I really found out. But to your point, Adrian, like I'm learning a lot about myself right now. Like right now, it's like the refining mode. So like that, like 24, 25 was the core, like the foundation, if you will. Like I'm a build it on this. You know what I'm saying? But as you build it, that's like skyscrapers. The higher you go, the more infrastructure you need, right? To keep it from swaying. Because y'all know those buildings sway, right? How much they sway will depend on how well the engineering is. And it's the same thing. The higher you go up, you're gonna have to continue to recalibrate. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's the phase I'm in. You use the word refining. I think that's where I'm at. Like it's constantly being refined for me in different levels as the more I grow and learn and do this introspection, it continues to help me establish different bounds of who I am. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, the core things still stay the same, but I think I continue, like, the evolving is definitely real. And I think one thing I've been super open to lately for a while now is just adopting different perspectives and helping them mold me into who I am. Like, I was once pretty stubborn in my ways in terms of how I looked at things and how I saw things, but now it's kind of like, oh, okay, oh, okay, and I can see that now. So I'm really doing a lot more listening and taking it in and moving it. So it's identity is definitely molding into something that I think my kids would be proud of.
Yeah, I don't think your identity's ever been in question. I think one thing that, and this is just me speaking to you from our relationship, I think I feel when you make a decision on who you want to be, like from a professional standpoint, professional meaning like, income coming in, that's when your life's going to take off. Like, I feel like right now you're doing very well, or you're doing good in everything you do. But I think like when you get laser focused and make a decision about like, no, this is who I'm going to be, bro, it's going to be lights out. I think right now you're going at a good pace with all the things you have your foot in. But I think
Definitely got my foot in a bunch of shit. But yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
when you make a decision on who you want to be, bro. Man, we can make another episode about decisions and the cost. The cost.
Woo.
The cost. Write that shit down, Chief. The cost. I'll write that
Right.
shit tonight. The cost of decisions, bro. Like the cost of the decisions
Mm.
that you make for the and for the greater good. And every time you make a decision to change your life, man, you're gonna get kicked in the teeth. Every
yeah,
time.
good,
A
bad, or
major
indifferent
problem.
in many
Yeah,
cases.
you're gonna get kicked in the teeth.
Yeah, so
And that's
big baby's watching. When we get to that decision episode, I want you to tap into that. I love you, kid, and I want the best for you.
yeah, man. But I think that's something that we don't talk about enough as parents. It's like going out on a skinny branch. You know what I'm saying? And making tough decisions for the greater good. Because a lot of things that we do as humans is wrapped up in comfort. You see what I'm saying? A lot of things that we do as
That's
humans is wrapped up in comfort.
what's the tagline in most episode? That's another episode right there. A whole nother episode right
Yeah,
there.
bro. I told you, man. You don't woke me up. I'll keep going on this because it's so
Nah,
much. It's so much content, man. It's so much to be learned just by my
Yeah.
experience, your experience. You know what I'm saying? Like that
nah,
shit's real. Life is real.
for sure. It's another cool convo, man. I thought it was cool, man. Again, a bunch of gems learning. Everybody watching, we salute y'all. We appreciate y'all. We're terrible at telling y'all to like share and like and subscribe and whatnot. Like we don't do that shit ever, hey, Mr. White, yo. I swear we don't. We just be out here going, and at the end, like, yo, like,
Yeah.
share, subscribe at the end of the damn episode. But yo, if you on right now, hit the like button one time for the one time. We'll be back next week, same time. Y'all want to give these final thoughts? I think I pretty much gave mine already, but go ahead, Mr. White. Final thought.
What the hell was yours?
I just talked.
So if I feel like that, everybody else does. So you might as well give it.
Go ahead, Mr. White.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. The beautiful thing about the search of finding yourself is it's literally something that's just for you. You know what I'm saying? It's just for you. I don't gotta share it, right? Even though my wife benefits from it, the kids benefit from it, but it's something that's mine, right? It's something that is just all about me. Nobody could take it away from me. I could keep my smiles to myself. Like it's literally just all mine. So I encourage you all to embrace that piece of it, right? Learn to spend the time with yourself, to self-awareness, to ask yourself questions, and then just embrace the growth, because it's a beautiful journey, not always easy, but you hit parts and pieces of it to where it's just a beautiful thing to watch things just unfold for you, yo. So yeah, embrace the journey of just finding yourselves, and as you continue to get refined, along the way.
I'll go. My bad, y'all. I was messing with my camera and it turned off. Y'all can still hear me though, right?
Yeah, you frozen, but go ahead. No, you good now. Go ahead.
Yeah. My final thought is be true to that identity. Whatever that is, be true to that identity because that's who you are, regardless of how anybody feels. So be true to that identity. Like if that's who you are in your heart, then that's who you be. You be that. That's it. Good, bad, or indifferent. If you can be true to that, then you could always live with yourself.
True. We talked. Mr. White mentioned it earlier, just in regards to like loving on yourself, and I think all around identity. I mean, there may be some things about yourself that you don't like, but you should still love yourself in the process of trying to help yourself rid yourself of those things that you don't like. And I think oftentimes we're way too hard on ourselves
Grace
for the things for our shortcomings. You know what I'm saying? So as we're continuing to evolve and develop our identity, make sure you pour in some love on yourself because we need it, and we are pretty much our own hardest critics. So God forbid you make that mistake and someone else calls you out on it. You don't got to beat yourself up about it even more than you already do. Cool. So before we
ABMNT
15% off. I was about to pull that joint up right now. So we have our website is up. Hit the website abmnt.com. 50% off merch. Use the code ABMNT Live 15. We'll be on for another couple of minutes. I'm going to hit you guys with one of my poems I released recently with one of my young boys. Shout out to J-Rock. But I want to give y'all a little snippet of what we got coming. I think it's like a 4-part piece. So check it out. Stay tuned. Let me know what y'all think.
I lived a hard life. Had to struggle through the day. I've been through hard nights. Seems like a gamble. I just hope I play my cards right. OG told me don't you worry, cause it's alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Man, that's easy for you to say. You don't even know why I was late. And I'll probably have to do 1,000 things before I get a chance to snooze today. You talking about homework? Man, my first duty in my household has always been the same. My parents ain't never home, and I got 2 siblings expecting me to lead the way. See me? I had to walk to school this morning. Don't get me wrong, I couldn't take the bus. But between having to get my brother ready while combing out my sister's hair, that boat had already sailed and I had no chance of catching up. As a matter of fact, I was up before my alarm went off because the police sirens kept adding up, and my siblings kept asking me to make them breakfast, so that's the first thing I did when I woke up.
You claim it's easy for me to say like it's something I don't know. Like I ain't been where you still gotta go. Like I ain't seen what you still gotta see. Like I don't look at you and see me. You youngins think cause we older we don't know what you go through. And since you didn't listen to what I told you, now I gotta show you. In the projects where I used to live, just like you, I had to get my brothers dressed, make them breakfast, walk them to their bus, then get myself to school. Not to mention there was 8 of us in a 2-bedroom crib and we had roaches. The closest thing I knew to a father was one of my high school coaches. So yes, it's easy for me to say because I've been there, just like you, young with way too many responsibilities. I was angry and full of rage, but I wished I had a me to mentor me when I was your age.
See what my high school coaches don't understand is that though we're lined up in the field by 2, I got homies being lined up in the field by 2. And every time I go to the course, I'm being judged by my parents as if I have something to prove. It's like they set us up to lose. And where I'm from, if you ain't playing ball scoring touchdowns, there's only one other path to choose. So guess what I'ma do? It's not cause I want to, but I'll do what I got to. Cause I know some days the sun won't shine, but a full dinner plate will put us all in a brighter mood. I'm fixing to shed a light or two. You being from where I'm from lets me know that the struggle is both inherited and recyclable. But you being a teacher tells me that you probably had opportunities that I consider impossible. So I say it's easy for you to say because the street life and the lack of help were 2 things that you were never confined to.
That's easy for you to say. You assume, but you don't know. I have a rebuttal for every word you spoke, but that's typical of us adults, right? Listening to respond, but not to understand you. I get everything you said, but I need you to understand too. First, only God can judge you. It's unfortunate that the world does too, but you ain't alone. I got the same color skin on my bones. I had dreads, just like you, and you can keep them jokes. But I know what it's like to have no food, to have hoop dreams and no hoop in the neighborhood. I had to use my back pedal to help me move forward. I know what it's like to have counselors doubt you, they wouldn't have a job without you, like me. And I got way more talent than teaching that'll make me way more dollars. But I came back to give back, to help you understand that you can be street and scholar. You don't have to settle, but you do have to listen. I may be a little older, but our lives ain't that much different.
I lived a hard life. Had to struggle through the day. I've been through hard nights. Seems like a gamble. I just hope I play my cards right. OG told me don't you worry, cause it's alright. It's gonna be alright. I lived.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, that joint was fire, bro.
So that's my joint, my young boy. It's a couple more parts to it. It's just, a story between the old head and the young boy, just trying to help him get right and see that we ain't too much different. You know what I'm saying? So
That was real dope.
that was that. There's some more to come. But yo, hit the website, get some merch. We got a voice line, 860-410-6160. You going through it, you need somebody to talk to. You want to send us a text message, you want to holler at us, please do so. You can email at us at Chief, Bell, or Prentice, either one of us, at abmnt.com, or you can just email allblackmanlytherapy@gmail.com. Mr. White, please let them know your info, let them know how they can get a hold of you. I'm gonna have a bumper for you next time. Put it right on the screen for you, I promise.
All right, cool. So yeah, if you want to reach out to me, you can visit the website acceleratedelevation.com. We do coaching and counseling, my wife and I. So we do married couples, and we focus mostly on men. Me anyway. My wife doesn't really do much individual coaching with women just because of the kids. So we had to just pick two lanes for this season. But don't worry, ladies. She gonna get y'all right in a few months.
Word.
Shout out to all the black businesses.
Word. Holler at us. We got some advertising spots for y'all guys too. You know what I mean? Nevertheless, yo, per usual, man, do us all a favor and hug a black man today
Do it.
and tomorrow.
Do it.
We out, y'all.
Peace.